Defense fund to tap gross revenue receipts, not tax revenue. Finance Commission chief says besides 1.5 lakh rupees crore over 5 years from the consolidated fund, monetization of defense land will also help generate resources. The Centre has accepted the 15th Finance Commission's recommendation to share 41% of the divisible pool of taxes with the states and is examining the panel's views on creation of a non-lapsable Defence and Internal Security Modernisation Fund. Commission Chairperson N.K. Singh explains the rationale behind the key recommendations. Edited excerpts. What was the Commission's overall approach? I would say the emphasis on continuity and stability. This is reflected in the continuity of the 41% share, factoring in J&K's change in status giving revenue deficit grants. One more component of stability is the horizontal formula and the percentages assigned to different weights at more or less what they were, with very marginal change by increasing the forest cover criteria. But the use of the 2011 census would have meant many of the states who have done better on demographic management might have suffered, if we had done no corrections. Therefore, we introduced a new criteria of demographic management by assigning a 12.5% weightage, and if states still suffered, we have tried to mitigate that by a revenue deficit grant which covers many of the states like Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Telangana. We have sought to therefore evenly balance, on the weightages side, the triple consideration of equity, need and efficiency. The second important thing is the reprioritization of the expenditure pattern. With our current health infrastructure given the pandemic, we have assigned a very specific treatment of the resources to urban local bodies towards improving health infrastructure of primary health centers and district hospitals. Unlike in the past, the fiscal consolidation roadmap for the Union and the states have been made somewhat flexible and introduce a range instead of a fixed point, recognizing that the state finances may be in stress, even though state FRBM laws assigned a certain fiscal deficit target. We have given them 1 percentage point more, 4% instead of the 3% of GSDP, and an additional 0.5% for undertaking power sector reforms. If any of the states have to undertake fresh borrowing on account of liabilities arising out of the GST compensation cess, that would be over and above the flexibility we have given now. As far as the central government is concerned, we have given a certain roadmap over a medium term. We have recommended that we need a new fiscal consolidation plan, a new debt trajectory, and the constitution of what I have called an intergovernmental body. In the Action Taken report, the ministry has said that they are going to examine this proposal separately. Could provide us some clarity on the Defence and Internal Security Modernisation Fund, for which you have suggested about 1.5 lakh rupees crore be shifted from the Consolidated Fund of India over 5 years? Should states be concerned that this might shrink their share of the divisible pool? None of this is coming from the gross tax revenue, but the gross revenue receipts. And we have already calibrated it without touching the GTR or the options of a cess or a surcharge or a defense tax. But we stayed clear of that. I wanted to come clean on that. We have taken this from the GRR, but we were persuaded by the erudite legal opinion of Mystic Parasaran on the indivisible obligation of every stakeholder to become a partner in strengthening the defense of this country. Historically, there has been a mismatch between the procurement cycle and the financial allocations on an annual basis. We need to give a degree of stability on availability of resources for meeting capital expenditure for defense is what we came to the conclusion on this term of reference given to us, that this would be the path forward. While one component comes from the consolidated fund, there is a very significant part which will come from the monetization of idle land assets. Defense is the biggest holder of land. They can use that for their own benefit and the proceeds of the disinvestment from the public sector defense enterprises. This is 51,000 crore rupees per annum for defense and 10,000 crore rupees for the Ministry of Home Affairs for strengthening the capital expenditure of forces like the ITBP and BSF, which are also engaged in defense, and a small amount which we have given for the Jawans Army Welfare Fund. We were the only finance commission to have had the opportunity to go to Leh and see the war memorial for the Kargil martyrs and were happy to be able to grant them something. The commission didn't make a particularly strong push for a fiscal council. The 12th commission had done it, the 13th did it, the 14th had done it. We have also done it, but we haven't written a lot of poetry on it. Notwithstanding the wide-ranging recommendations, despite these exceptional times, the government has honored the panel's recommendations and not rejected any recommendation.